Proposed Canadian recreational cannabis laws by province. In 2017, Canada legalized recreational cannabis on a national level. The new law allows the provinces to largely decide on their own local cannabis policies, but the Canadian government has set the national possession limit at 30 grams and the legal age of consumption at 18. Each province is responsible for determining their own regulations when it comes to who grows, processes, and distributes cannabis, how much tax to charge, what age people can purchase cannabis if they will allow online sales, can adults grow at home, and issues related to criminal justice. Edible sales are not expected until mid-2019. Here are the policies released so far by the provinces. Alberta.
The Alberta Gaming and Liquor Commission will handle the legal and responsible use of cannabis by Albertans. Alberta will set the minimum age for purchase and consumption of cannabis at 18. Albertans of legal age will be able to purchase cannabis products from retailers that will receive their products from the Alberta Gaming and Liquor Commission, AGLC. Buying cannabis in Alberta. Government-regulated distribution will help to create a level playing field for large and small producers and should help prevent small communities from being penalized for delivery costs by making sure product is shipped at the same price regardless of where it is being shipped. Licensed retail establishments will be the only stores that can sell cannabis and will not be able to sell cannabis if they sell tobacco, pharmaceuticals, or alcohol. Provincial regulations establish who can own and operate a cannabis retailer. This includes no licenses for applicants linked to organized crime, illegal drug trade, or with convictions related to offenses such as drug trafficking or violence. Mandatory background checks for potential retailers and workers. Limiting licenses for any single person, business, or organization at 15%. The AGLC will limit licenses each year based on existing licenses issued the previous year, allow smaller retailers to enter the market. Renewal of retail licenses required at least once every 2 years. Albertans will have 2 options for purchasing recreational cannabis: privately run retail stores, government-operated online sales. Consumers will be limited to 30 grams of cannabis per transaction, which is also the legal public possession limit. Online sales and home delivery will only be available through a single website operated by the AGLC. Albertans will be allowed to consume cannabis in their homes and in some public spaces where smoking tobacco is allowed, but will be banned in cars. In an effort to protect children and limit secondhand exposure, public smoking or vaping of cannabis in Alberta will be prohibited from any place where tobacco is restricted, and in the following places: school property or child care facility property, hospitals, and in or within a prescribed distance from a playground, an outdoor pool, a sports or playing field, a skateboard or bicycle park, an outdoor theater, a zoo, from any motor vehicles with the exception of those being used as a temporary residences, such as a parked RV. There will also be no consumption of cannabis at any cannabis retail outlets. Adults in Alberta will be able to grow up to 4 plants per household from seeds purchased from licensed cannabis retailers. Renters, condo dwellers, and those who live in multi-family dwellings may be restricted from growing cannabis in their homes based on rules established in rental agreements or condominium bylaws. Adults over 18 will be allowed to possess up to 30 grams of cannabis in a public place, which aligns with the federal government's proposed possession limit for adults. When transporting cannabis in a vehicle, it must be secured in closed packaging and not within reach of the driver or occupants. Those under the legal age of 18 will not be allowed to purchase or possess any cannabis. The federal government has proposed strict rules about labeling, packaging, and advertising cannabis. This includes no promotion, packaging, or labeling of cannabis that could be considered appealing to young people, and ensuring that important product information is clearly presented to consumers.
Manitoba. The Liquor Gaming Cannabis Authority will regulate cannabis with private corporations managing retail stores, while the Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries Corporation will distribute cannabis throughout the province. In order to keep marijuana out of the sight of kids, stores will be either age-restrictive or controlled access stores. The legal age will be 19, and it will be a criminal offense to sell cannabis to underage buyers. Localities will be able to ban cannabis businesses. There will also be stiff penalties for selling cannabis without a license. Unfortunately, non-medical home grows will not be allowed. New Brunswick. New Brunswick will operate its marijuana stores through a newly formed Crown Corporation. The legal age of consumption will be 19. A fund has been set up to educate the public on the responsible use of cannabis. Newfoundland and Labrador. Like alcohol, you will have to be 19 to purchase and possess cannabis in Newfoundland and Labrador, and will only be allowed to consume it at home. Cannabis sales in Newfoundland and Labrador will be conducted by the private sector. The Newfoundland and Labrador Liquor Corporation will be tasked with regulating the new market, setting prices, issuing licenses, and buying and selling cannabis. Northwest Territories. In a controversial move, the NWT Liquor Commission will sell cannabis alongside liquor in stores. They will also handle all importation and distribution of cannabis in the NWT. The legal age will be 19, and residents will be able to grow 4 plants at home. Local communities will be allowed to ban cannabis businesses in their borders. Nova Scotia. Similar to the NWT, Nova Scotia will sell cannabis alongside liquor at certain Liquor Corporation locations. The legal age will be 19, and Nova Scotia citizens will be able to grow 4 plants at home. Nova Scotia will allow online sales of cannabis. Current dispensaries in the province will become illegal. Nunavut. Nunavut has not released its cannabis regulations, but is holding meetings with stakeholders and analyzing the results of a public survey. Ontario. Ontario will administer its system through a newly formed corporation called the Ontario Cannabis Retail Corporation. The province will start with 40 dispensaries and build to 150 by 2020. The legal age of consumption will be 19. Online sales are permitted, but cannabis can only be consumed at home. Prince Edward Island. The legal age is set at 19 with a possession limit of 30 grams outside the home. There are no restrictions for possession at home. The PEI government has chosen Island Garden, Organigram, and Canopy Growth Corporation to provide cannabis to 4 government-owned retail outlets. Quebec. Quebec will run 15 retail cannabis stores through the provincial government. They will not allow personal cultivation at home, but the legal age is 18. Cannabis can be consumed anywhere you can smoke cigarettes, but not at restaurants, bars, the workplace, or building entrances. Saskatchewan. After a lottery, 40 licenses will be given out to private vendors. The government will not be involved in production or selling of cannabis. There will be online stores to allow sales to remote locations. Stores will sell fresh and dried cannabis, oils, plants, and seeds, with edible sales not expected until summer 2019. Local municipalities will be able to ban stores in their communities.